One common trope used in cartoons is that of a new student. From what I've experienced, I've noticed that there are typically 3 ways story writers choose to introduce a character using this type of plot. Sometimes these characters are just one-offs that exist to pose a problem to the main protagonist, but then will never return again. Other times, it's just an excuse to introduce a new recurring character to the series to keep it fresh. And then there's also the possibility of taking the main character of a show and making them the new student in an entirely different setting. So which of these 3 options did the Powerpuff Girls reboot choose to use? Well, let's find out. Miss Keene announces that there's a new student joining the class. Well, looks like option 3 is out. This girl named Jemica swoops in from the window and makes a dramatic entrance to draw all attention to her. She's an amateur professional archaeologist and a bit of a show-off if you ask me. The girls are seen in the cafeteria discussing just how awesome this Jemica girl is without really showing anything she's actually done. They sort of just float there explaining everything to the viewer, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but I would have at least liked to see some sort of flashback or thought bubble with the action taking place inside. Jemica overhears the girls talking about her and invites them to join her on an archaeological dig after school. Apparently a group of diggers found what is known to be the lost tomb of the Hazrajanis. Now where have I heard that name before? As she leaves, she mentions that Buttercup is Snoof. It doesn't mean anything, but it's constantly brought up for the rest of the episode. We are then treated to a map sequence where we can see the girls leave from Townsville and head to the tomb of the Hazrajanis. Oh, would you look at that, the Mancini Mountains. I swear I've heard of that name before, but I just can't put my finger on it. Okay, fine, have your Indiana Jones reference. Jemica takes them to a back fence where the girls question her authority because they don't want to trespass, but quickly take it back because they don't want to upset her either. They get in front of the tomb, but it's blocked by a giant boulder. Jemica manages to persuade Blossom to lift the boulder for her by mentioning a certain item. So the 4 of them go through a series of traps that the girls could have easily avoided if they just fly over them. And come on, if Buttercup can lift an entire mountain, then why can't the 3 of them stop this ceiling from collapsing? I get that it'd ruin the entire point of the reference, but wouldn't it be funnier if they just blew through the entire challenge with ease? I think that would make it more interesting because they'd be putting a twist on the situation rather than just playing it straight. The place collapses and the girls escape with Jemica out of the tomb and into the wild again. The group overhears some of the other diggers in the area that the otter has been stolen, and then they realize that they're criminals. Jemica feels sorry for herself and is upset because she wanted to impress her superhero friends, but the girls forgive her and explain that they're friends no matter the circumstances, so she decides to thank them by offering BFF necklaces. I think I know where this is going. Just when Blossom is about to return the golden otter, Jemica activates the necklaces and makes the girls return the item to her instead. According to Jemica, these necklaces have the ability to force the girls to do whatever she wants against their will. You know, I read a bad fanfiction about this once. And speaking of bad fanfiction,
BFF Bubbles, pick Buttercup's nose.
Please don't. Ew.
Jemica mentions that she'll need the assistance of someone intelligent, and it transitions to the girls taking the professor to an airport. Instead of questioning what's going on around him, Professor Utonium just scolds the girls for falling to peer pressure. You know, because there aren't bigger issues at hand going on right now. The bejeweled mouse lemur is being loaded onto a stealth jet, and the 5 of them sneak onto the plane to steal it. Jemica asks the professor how to read the inscription, but he refuses to help her commit such a crime.
You're a fool if you think I'll help you in your misguided deeds.
Ha! Good luck trying to control the professor.
But my thirst for knowledge! Kurt!
No. You know what? That's it. I'm done. I quit. I give up. I tried. I really tried.
So he goes and reads the inscription, which allows Jemica to grab the lemur and connect it to the otter. It shoots a bunch of laser beams through the plane, which creates a giant hole in the back, and the professor flies out with the idol. Jemica commands the girls to grab the idol, but the girls fight back because the professor is in danger. After a brief tug of war, the girls overcome the effects of her necklaces through the power of love, and the girls manage to save their father. Suddenly we're back at home, and the 4 of them are discussing the events that had just happened. The professor tells them to be careful when choosing their friends, and they wonder where Jemica could be now. The episode comes full circle with an ending where Jemica is seen in a German classroom with all the other students praising her. This is another Indiana Jones styled episode that didn't really do anything unique compared to other cartoons. So many other shows have parodied those films and done a much better job. Jemica is kind of boring for a Powerpuff villain. This franchise is known for having over-the-top, memorable characters that are typically just as, if not more interesting than the girls themselves. Jemica is just an explorer girl. She doesn't have a very enticing personality and she's lacking a backstory, so I feel there's no reason for her to ever come back. She's just a once and done kind of character. I would have preferred that instead of the necklaces breaking from the girl's emotions, they got hit by the idol and shattered them instead. It would have provided a better explanation as to why the girls broke free from her control. The fact that the show had to spell out the lesson of the episode just proves that it wasn't executed very well. Unless it's a show directed specifically at younger kids, which this show isn't, by the way, the lesson should be left up to interpretation. I'm not sure where I'd rank this episode compared to the other ones, but it's not too high on my list.
Great. Now let's get Otter here.
Boo!